Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Mike Haspil, and Wyatt Turk from Jacket Close Painting. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Hail and well met.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
I would like to officially go on the record and say I'm not actually a lizard person.
That sounds exactly like something a lizard person would say to throw us off their trail.
Damn it, you're on to me. Man, it was, a lot of folks are like, I'm bored, but it was a kind of an exciting week, at least on my end, interfacing with those 3D folks and going back and forth and getting some resolution, which we're going to talk about later. But what did you guys think of the previews? And I feel like we still have a lot of stuff to talk about.
I feel like you are more excited than you normally are, so that's kind of interesting and intriguing to me. So yeah. I'm going to go with that. We probably do have a lot of stuff to talk about, especially since I know in the after hours version of this podcast, we wrote all the things down we are going to talk about. So I do have information from past Kenny that we do indeed have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Future us's. We are the future us's.
No, it's actually interesting. Yeah. Like, way to stay positive out there. Like this, like even your update you're going to discuss is a positive. Haspil's got some positives.
I'm excited about getting a color copy of Demonofuge. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be sweet.
Mine is black and white.
From what, the 80s?
I had a number
from 1968.
Yeah, I had a number of the graphic novels, and they were all in black and white.
Yeah,
that's all they could afford back then.
Let's see. I remember I had the one that was the Space Wolves.
Oh, that's a good one
by Dan Abnett.
Yeah,
Wolf, yeah, that one was really cool.
That was a good series. Mouse Darkblade, Princept Dictatio.
I remember the Titan one. That was a good one.
Yep.
I knew the Titan one.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, duh.
They based a game on that, I'm told, Rob.
I've heard something like that.
I mean, as it stands, more than 6 people have never gotten together to play that game, unfortunately.
And one of my favorite Dan Abnett books is, in fact, Titanicus.
That was also a very good book.
I really like his I like it when Dan retcons the world building aspects of 40K and makes it sound a lot cooler. So like the way that he made the Mechanicum and the Titan Legions, the world building around them was like really cool. Where they have like the Noosphere, which is a augmented reality that they live in 24/7. Nobody else can see.
Oh yeah, some of them are in the vat tanks. And they don't just like walk into the command chamber and just hook in. They're like, I'm never separated from this war machine.
Also, the Skitarii were way cooler in his book than they ended up being on the table.
Yeah,
because I guess when that book came out, I don't think that the Mechanicum tabletop army was a thing yet.
Mm-mm.
I remember right. And so at that time, he was still working off of the lore for Skitarii being bio-enhanced tech barbarians, basically, that were like huge. And they had like all these mechanical enhancements, and they wore like fur pelts and had these like lances and melee weapons. And they would just like run around the feet of the Titans to just like kill all the infantry.
Yeah, like swarm shit. Yeah.
Yeah. They were so much cooler than like little dudes in robes with rifles.
Yep. Yeah, it definitely changed a lot. I mean, but I think they're dialing it in pretty good. There isn't very much more they can change in this, unless they just like invent new races or, oh no, this vehicle was here all the time. Oh wait, Primaris. Like,
don't spoil our episode. Look, before we jump into it, let's just do our ceremonial joke section with Wyatt.
Yep.
Sorry, would you rather, which is definitely not
thanks.
funny or a joke.
Well, I mean, you're right. But all right, okay. Would you rather have all liquids taste like Jepson's Malort, or have to intake all liquids via enema?
What does it taste like?
It tastes like Malort.
Malort. I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's a very vile alcohol spirit from the Midwest, specifically Chicago.
Huh.
I'm gonna need some help. When you say like, what kind of grain do they use to make this?
Interesting you ask. I actually pulled this up. It's wormwood based.
Wormwood based.
Wormwood based.
So it's like licorice.
It has a far reaching reputation of being not pleasant.
Okay. So, but it doesn't get me. So like water tastes like it, but I don't get drunk. I just taste it.
Yeah.
Okay. Or so to stay hydrated, I either beehole hydrate or drink crap, like drink just gross drink.
I mean, I feel like,
Like beehole hydration. Do you have any facts pulled up for me on that?
Not really, no.
Like how, like if I need to drink a gallon of water, which I don't believe, I think that's a myth. If like, do I have to like, is it like right? That's what people say, a day. So a gallon of water in my beehole, like to stay healthy and hydrated. Is that what
you really only need to drink a gallon if you're like exercising a lot throughout the day.
Oh God. But every time, but I don't know a lot about putting liquid up your beehole, but doesn't that just make you want to shit instantly too? So
no clue.
Does the genies? No one in here has had an enema or something.
well,
I mean, Rob is basically 50. You've had one.
you absorb. I mean, you absorb it quicker. It just goes straight into you through a word I can't say, but because we're already probably demonetized.
Oh, we're demonetized already.
Yeah, so like that's why people literally die of alcohol poisoning if they do that, because they absorb too much too quick because there's no barrier, there's no liver to filter it out. But yeah, so like you would basically, I don't know how that works for water. I would just assume it would just get inside you. And
the genie's magic's going to keep me alive. I'm just going to trust in the genie, and I want to try something new. I want to do liquid enemas. Like if that's my life, that's my life. I'll do it. I'll take a chance on this genie.
New and improved thing.
Yeah.
It's wormwood for me.
Getting that booze.
Yeah, I figure it's like absinthe. Just drink absinthe.
I don't know. I feel like I have enough issues when people are literally making a 3-dimensional likeness on me that is a poo demon. I feel like at that point I have enough issues, so it can't go much wrong with the butt stuff. So I'll just pick that. We'll just go with that.
It's funny. I thought for sure he was going to drink the wormwood because like you have a habit of making things that like taste bad in Would You Rathers, and it's like every time you do, I'm like, Rob's just going to pick that one because he can't taste. Yeah. Rob, did you see the meme I made and I put in our Facebook chat about you?
I did.
Oh man.
Not having a sense of smell and barely being able to taste right now is indicative of some other issues. So I don't necessarily want to go on record as oops, too late, having those issues. It turns out 1 in 10,000 people just can't smell naturally. That's a real stat. It's a real thing. It's got doctors. So most average sized cities, 2 people at least will not be able to smell.
And you're one of them in your city.
I am one of them. And I think there's 100,000 people in my county, but not necessarily in this town. I don't know. I don't know numbers. I don't go anywhere.
Rob literally can't smell or taste, guys.
Oh, see, here we go. Somebody coming in from the chat. Malort tastes like a hobo vomited in your mouth and filtered it through his dirty sock.
Oh, that's pleasant. Yeah, I don't want that. I feel like I would taste that. I'll just do the butt stuff.
Do butt stuff.
Just do the butt stuff.
My ladies always tell me to be more adventurous with my butt, so. Rob, you want to do some professional stuff now that we got poop and butt stuff out of the way? And
I mean, we knocked that out early. So a couple of things in Tabletop Market Watch. So obviously, quarantine's still a thing everywhere. We will be putting out a new post on Spikey Bits, I think next week, like mid next week. Sent out a bunch of feelers to companies. Hey, you guys still open? Are you doing a promo? Like, what's happening? What's your status? Just so folks can know, because a lot of people are like, we're open, but we're a little behind, or, oh, we're just closed, or whatever. And if we just have a clear, concise list of, hey, here's where you can still get stuff, here's where you can't, because even buying GW stuff right now is kind of hit or miss, I would say. Obviously, we talk a lot here on the channel about Miniature Market and Dicehead Games, dicehead.com. They basically have their entire inventory, still up for sale, no gouging, the normal minimum advertised pricing from GW. But as we go into this thing, like, availability is going to get lower and lower and lower and lower. Now, you can still get stuff on Amazon. I stumbled upon a whole bunch of listings on Amazon, that are still in stock. You can still scoop stuff up. Some of it's the normal pricing, 15, but things have spiked. Like Gazgul's going for 80 plus on eBay right now, of course, because everybody wants them and the supply is limited. But don't get it twisted. GW literally has a warehouse full of these Prophecy of the Wolf boxes that half of them didn't even get out the door that were ordered that week. So there will be a glut of them whenever they start back up, a short. So if you really need it, just be, buyer beware. They're going to be back around relatively soonish. So just kind of keep that stuff in mind. It will be a little bit harder to find things, but we're still trying to, push traffic towards retailers out there that might need it, because times are definitely tough for everybody around the world, retail wise. So it seems like a lot of people are still shipping. So I feel like getting eyeballs in front of the stuff, if you can, afford this, some new hobby projects or something like that, just consider it. New release wise from GW until I think the 10th, which is this weekend. You can still get the limited or exclusive Primaris Lieutenant from Adepticon last year. They will be shipping him out at some point. Who knows when? Damani Fuse.
This Adepticon or last?
Last Adepticon, but they put it back up for sale mid to order. So
they had a nice, funny article that accompanied that too, with like their 20 favorite lieutenants, Primaris lieutenants or something.
Yep. Even stuff like 3D printers, are any Cubics running about a week behind. If you're looking to get the Photon, we've been thinking about 3D printing. They're running about 7 days behind. You can scoop the stuff up from them, but if you're trying to get it off Amazon, Amazon's on all non-essential is not essential right now. So you're looking at several week delay. So you just kind of got to hunt around for things depending on what you're looking for. As far as that goes.
It depends on like the type of Amazon stuff. So it's like if it's stuff that's in your local area Amazon warehouse, the shipping times have not increased very much. If by maybe just like a day or two. But if it's something that is not stocked in your local Amazon warehouse, it will take a hell of a long time.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. So you just kind of got to look around, maybe order from, the actual manufacturer in some cases. It just, it's going to take a little extra work if you need that stuff out there. But we're going to try to have as many listings, as many, hey, go here if you're looking for a certain thing as we can, and try to help everybody out. The Demonic Fuse 20th anniversary trade paperback, full colorized edition, Ephrail Stern and Inquisitor Silius Hand and the Pariah in all their glory will be coming out. You can pre-order it right now on Amazon. The date has gotten pushed back a month already since GW's preview. It's pushed back to like June 23rd. So everything is getting shifted back. But I mean, I already pre-ordered it because I'm like, I got to have this. I've never seen it in color. That'll be dope. Kev Walker was a great artist. I think it was illustrated, or Kev Walker was a great writer. I think it was illustrated by Adrian Smith, if I recall correctly. Don't exactly remember, but great book. And now that she's getting her second character, or second model from GW, that will be pretty cool to see what the actual rules are. like Haspil was saying, you can still get some of the stuff from Barnes and Noble if you're looking for the Space Marine Adventures or Blitz Bowl, or what's the Lord of the Rings one?
It's a Lord of the Rings game. They also have an AOS game that's oh man, names on the tip of my tongue. It's like Storm Vault, but something like that.
Oh, Dreadfane. Is it the Dreadfane?
No, Dreadfane is the Warhammer Underworlds. Which is like the Shadespire game, but it's as a self-contained board game, and it comes with 2 unique factions too. So they do have, those are exclusive to Barnes and Noble as well.
Right. You got to scoop them up from them. So keep an eye, if you're just looking for, some easy to play games, maybe with the kids or the fam, keep that in mind. Definitely still orderable. Most places right there. We did want to talk a little bit about what our big discussion last week with the 3D printing. We'll call it drama. I mean, it's just kind of, it is what it is. We had a lot to say about that. Kenny had some really great terms, such as masturbation cocoon, which, by the way, they would like to make a figure, some sort of incorporating some sort of cocoon, Kenny. So if you have some ideas,
I didn't come up with it. I just quote American literature, like some of the greatest works in our time, like Rick and Morty episodes. I didn't come up with that. I can't take credit. But to which you refer the sexually explicit Nurgling made in your likeness debacle?
Yes, Bob. Was it Bob Nurgling? Bob, it's no longer up on Thingiverse. I actually spoke with the artist, the maker, Orion, over, I don't know, at some point in the past week. I can't remember. Every day seems to be the same these days. But had a great discussions with a lot of folks across the 3D space, the 3D maker spaces. Some folks that have Patreon, some folks that just really make a lot of really dope looking stuff and put it up on Thingiverse. And everybody kind of, was obviously a little upset about the whole, how our position was perceived to be about 3D printing. Whereas, like, basically 3D printing is a crime. You wouldn't steal a car. But really what it was, hey, we just got to be respectful about this. And as we got talking, it really seemed to kind of resonate with the folks in that chat that a lot of people, what they're doing right now is designing and converting things in pixels with what we did, in the past with 3D, with bits, with plastic bits. We're all doing the same thing. We're all creating something a little bit different than what GW gave us to work with. And I think going forward, you're going to see a lot more folks coming up with more derivative designs instead of direct ports from GW things, where they're putting their twist on it, and their twist might be something that you're interested in, like any sort of like kind of faction that maybe doesn't exist, or maybe something that never existed that's tweaked a little bit. And I think that's what makes this hobby great, is people doing that digital form, people doing that with the actual bits now. And that's the stuff that we can push forward and we can all grow with and talk about. But we can't really be like, hey, there's this thing over here that's you could exactly use this as this thing that GW makes. And it's the exact same thing, which, for the record, I don't care what anybody does and prints off in their own house. Like, I don't care. Like, have fun, have a blast. If you always wanted that model and now you can print it out on your own printer, that's dope. Like, have fun with it. But the thing is, we're not going to see that at tournament play. We're not going to see that at the level of competition where some of these folks, these events are basically sponsored by the manufacturers of the games. That being said, I also can kind of see a future after talking to these folks that there is a lot of these guys came over from just designing figures, and they had no idea what 40K was until they started seeing this. And they're like, holy crap, this is dope. Like, now I need these rules. Now I need these things over there. So I can definitely see a future where a lot of us are playing with miniatures that might just entirely be derivative works of stuff that's inspired by the 40K universe or the Age of Sigmar universe. But we use those rule sets because that's the rule set. Like, these makers are makers. They're not game developers. They're not play testers. They're just dudes that can make dope stuff. So having a set of rules that's mostly play tested and mostly proven to work, and having these leagues and stuff, and then being able to have all these derivative miniatures, which, you know, you still hobby on.
Inspired miniatures. Like, we got to just, like I say, take a second to talk about the terms. And like
sure.
Earlier, LT mentioned in our pregame show, like, if your business model is like, I hope we don't get sued, like, that's right. It's only a matter of time before you shut down. So like, take some time if you're a 3D person and you're using ZBrush, whatever. Or if your jam is like snagging up other STL files and clipping off the things you like and manipulating them further, whatever your jam is, take some time to familiarize yourself with some of these rules. There's tons of resources on the internet, free legal advice. There's like Legal Eagle is a great YouTube channel. He talks about stuff like that. Take your time to understand exactly when someone has something that they've created and what you are, based on case study, are allowed to do with that, and understand simultaneously that case study isn't like, it's not science. It's not like, there's wildly different rulings across the board on what's allowed, what's not allowed. You can't walk into a space and say, you can't own a orc in red armor. That's ridiculous. Like, that's right. Sure, it seems ridiculous, but sometimes you got to prove it to a judge, right? So just understand that, to all the 3D printing community, that, you know, you can't just go around with these chips on your shoulder like, I'm allowed to do this. Like, sometimes you have to prove that you're allowed to do this, and it's not the other way around, you know? And just familiarize yourself. Understand that, like, things like parody, things like commentary are two different things and require different things to prove. Things like creating a derivative works usually require a license. You know, like, so it's not as open-ended as you think. And if you just, you know, everyone looks for confirmation bias. I did that at first with my t-shirt shop, right? Like, I'm fine. Well, at the end of the day, GW C&D'd me at C&D. Like, cause like,
you see that D?
I would see that D, cause I'm not prepared to go and try to defend myself. I'm like, okay, fuck it. You know, like, just understand that shit. Like, we are in a brave new world, man. It's a wild, wild west right now. Just like you mentioned last week. The, you know, file sharing and MP3 swapping, you know, things have changed since then. As a matter of fact, some could argue changed for the better, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, it's just, I think inspired by is definitely a better term, right? Again, I'm not a legalologist. I can just tell you what I feel more comfortable promoting and talking about on my platform, what I don't. And, you know, and I think going forward, it's going to be that level of enthusiasm and that level of sharing and that level of not having to look over your shoulder about things that kind of pushes this hobby into the next phase of its evolution. Like I said, we're still going to need rules, but, you know, at the end of the day, like, a model's a model. It can be counts as this, it can be counts as that. But if you're designing stuff, you know, really the sky's kind of the limit, and it's going to be really interesting to see where we go, like, from here. And it's really cool to kind of talk to these folks now. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but we do have some really interesting promotions coming up in the next month or so for a lot of these 3D makers, we'll call them. And really getting the awareness out there for what these people do and the legitimacy of what some of the bigger, we'll say, players in space are actually doing, and things that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with doing before. But I feel like the attention that this whole issue last week really got, and like I said, incredible numbers, like, just from here on the podcast to the editorial on the site to just Facebook discussions everywhere. I mean, sure, everybody's got an opinion, but at the end of the day, it creates an awareness that folks can engage and talk with. And I think once these guys really saw that, they were like, holy crap, you know, this is kind of everywhere. And, you know, they started discussing it more amongst themselves. And then, you know, we started reaching out and talking with each other. So I'm really excited. And I think, you know, I think going forward, we gotta really give some of these things a chance, as far as some of the designers and artists out there that are really doing some good stuff and that need more exposure.
Haspil said it earlier. It's like you resolved the conflict on the internet with a positive outcome, Rob?
I did, by talking to people in real life.
What?
Wow. Yeah, yes. That's a thing. Wow.
It is.
That's incredible.
Turns out we're all people.
So the saga of the raw bear sexually explicit nerdling has evolved into a paint and hobby enthusiastic nerdling.
Yep, we have a new design. I don't know if it's finalized. Like I have it. I think it's great. It's awesome. Still got a butt, so I'm really excited about that because, like I said, I'm kind of lacking in the butt department. Sometimes I try to wear pants to make me look like I have a butt, but I really don't have a butt. And ladies will shame you for that. They'll be like, "You don't have a butt," and I'm like, "So?" It's like a thing. I had
Nobody likes to be objectified. Yeah,
I'd be like, leave me alone. This is my butt. I can't fight only so many wars, and I got enough going on with that area as it is. So it's a great looking model, holding a hobby holder, hobbying on a Marine or whatever, inspired by a Space Marine, I'm sure. And just
futuristic sci-fi space warrior.
Yes, that. A futuristic poo demon with Oakley shades on. Can we say Oakley? I don't know.
It looks like he's been upgraded to having welding goggles in the new version.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Thought they looked different.
Oh, maybe.
That's dope. We ready for Haspil's Corner, our freshest new segment?
Sure.
Let's do it.
We can segue to that. I want to start talking about a new segment that Games Workshop is going to be doing on their Twitch channel. They are launching a 40K. Oh, it's not 40K. It's a Black Library book club. And they're going to be discussing audiobooks, audio dramas, ebooks, all this stuff. And it's going to be at 1500 Zulu or, 3 p.m. British Standard Time, Greenwich Mean Time, whatever you want to call it, British time. 3 p.m. on Twitch. And they're going to just discuss different Black Library books. So I missed the first show was apparently last Friday. I was not able to catch it. But it sounds like something pretty cool. And because they have access to all the writers, I suspect that they may reach out to folks and, have folks jump into the conversation. That'd be pretty cool to hear, Dan Abnett or Graham McNeil, talk about, what ideas they explored to come up with some of these parts in the books. So that's really, really cool. On another front, with speaking of lore, but this is more like a fan made thing. Astartes Part 5 came out, and if you don't know about Astartes yet, you literally stop this podcast right now.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube.
Go watch something actually amazing. It takes true effort.
It's made by one guy, and it's a story. It doesn't have any dialogue, except I think that you might catch some snippets over a radio or something. That's really about it.
There's a few muffled bits of dialogue.
Yeah.
No, it's not that type of story.
Yeah, it's not. It's just seeing Space Marines do,
which I think is what
Space Marine stuff.
Well, it's what makes it so good. Like that's why, all the fan made stuff we've had over the years, all the stuff. It's like, to me, what makes this truly incredible is filmmaking is a visual medium, right? I hear this all the time in my Beats lab and with Bonet's industry, and what she's always preaching. She's like, it's a visual medium still. So when you put something out to watch, the story people have to be able to figure shit out by what's happening, because every time you take a second to tell them what's happening, it's a departure, right? It could be effective nonetheless, but it's still not as strong as if you can find a way to tell the story visually. Yep. It's stronger.
Show, don't tell.
Yeah. And Astartes is this one of, I think that he obviously made a commitment to that when he started the series, that's what he was. It was a very deliberate choice, and really lean into it and really problem solve the visual elements of the story and how we can figure things out. Cause I kind of have figured it out as I'm watching it very easily, where I've seen other fan made stuff that has tons of dialogue that I'm still lost as a motherfucker, So it's truly incredible. And Astartes 5 is the best one. What do you guys think?
I would agree. Nah. I mean, when this series first popped up, I raved about how good it looked. And I don't mean the style and fidelity of the animation itself, the CGI, because with many types of animation, simply having ultra realistic visuals doesn't make it objectively better than something that's very cartoony. It's a style. I do like the style of Astartes, but what really stuck out to me was the timing, the movement,
the movement,
and the cinematography. Like, those were the three things that the artist captured perfectly.
They really got the mass of the Space Marine.
Yeah,
perfect.
Even little micro movements. It's like he did a really great job of kind of what actors have to do if they're like wearing a mask or a costume, or they're like in a creature costume, where movement is the way that they emote what they're supposed to do, because you can't see their face. You can't see their emotions. So with the Astartes having helmets on, everything is down to body language and micro movements. And again, he did that perfectly.
Yeah.
And the shot composition is amazing. The timing of sounds, like in the, I believe it was episode 2, where they have them stomping down
the hallway, the corridor, yeah.
And then the enemies, like the cultists, they set up an autocannon and it starts firing. And the chugging of the autocannon firing in the next shot, as soon as it cuts, links up exactly with the sound and timing of their footfalls as they're running down this corridor inside of a ship.
Yep.
And it's all stuff like that that makes it so, so good.
Yeah, it's amazing. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to be in the minority and say that part 5 was not my favorite. Part 4 was.
I would say part 4 was also my favorite because of the battle scene.
Yeah.
Part 5 was really cool because of
it's setting a lot up.
And like the way that he created something comedic out of something that is in no way, shape, or form funny.
No.
It's great. And I'm sure that everybody listening, if your head isn't under a rock, you have seen the memes of when the Astartes captain punches the head off of a corrupted inquisitor or acolyte, and then his first sergeant just like rakes the body on the ground with a bolter back and forth to really make sure that psyker is not getting possessed, is unintentionally laugh out loud hilarious.
But what I liked about that too is it showed they obviously respected that guy. He was like doing his duty as hard as he could. And then the second that they saw him lose command, they were like, he's dead. Like it really brought home. Yeah. It brought home the danger.
If you guys didn't catch it, basically the orbs are not one and the same. They're in 2 separate locations. And so what's happening is he is linked into the orb on their ship, and he is seeing what is happening with the other orb on the heretic ship as the Astartes are trying to capture it. And he tells the captain that the Astartes are in danger.
Yeah.
Like the squad is in danger. And that's why the captain like looks up, voxes to the other guy who runs out of the room. And then that split second in loss of concentration is what allows the orb to get into his head. And as soon as that happened, the captain's like, well, he's a lost cause, and punches his head right off.
They can't take any chances. It was like it really brought that home of you can't play with this. Like it's warp energy and you cannot play.
Here's the question for you, Mike, since I've talked about this with some other people. Everybody is trying to they're like losing their minds trying to figure out what these orbs are, like what they're supposed to be. And my opinion on the whole thing is I kind of like not knowing. I kind of like the fact that like it can't directly be linked to some other snippet of ephemera that's part of the 40K mythos. Like I like the idea that even with like chaos and Tyranids and the Dark Eldar and orcs and all this other stuff out there in the galaxy, there's still these like bits of unknowable cosmic horror that the Astartes have to deal with from time to time. Like that to me is so much cooler than it being like the Yuvath or some other like forgotten about, barely canon Xenos race that we've never heard of.
Yeah. And I love the way that it ended too, with the whole, it was just ripe with possibilities, because it was like seeing the bodies in the hands of the statues and everything. You can interpret that however you kind of want. I have my ideas of what's going on.
So I'm on his Patreon, and he's come out officially and said that like episode 5 is, at least for the time being, the last in this chapter of the Retributors, which is that
he put that on, I think is in his description on that video too.
Yeah, so it was posted. I saw it on his Patreon, and he's basically like, these 5 parts, that is it for this chapter. And he kind of wanted it to always end that way, with this like sort of cliffhanger where it's like, oh well, I mean, the sergeant is alive, but like, fuck, where is he? Like, you know, more of that unknowable 44. Like, I love that aspect of it, that you have no idea where he is, what these things are. And then he's gone on to say that like his vision for this is like an anthology series of shorter stories that aren't all connected to the same characters and things like that.
Oh, neat. Yeah, that's really cool.
Anthologies make me super happy.
And another really cool thing is I actually added it all up. So between the 5 episodes, it's 19 million views and counting.
Wow.
And I'm, like I said, I'm also on his Patreon. And as soon as like the day of, hours after part 5 aired, within a couple of hours of it airing, his Patreon grew by like 700 people, and it's gone up even more. So I'd have to open it up, but I think at the last time I looked, which was 2 days ago, it was over 5,000 patrons. And that makes me really happy, because like one of the things he really wants to do is expand his manpower and expand his technology so that he can keep making this stuff at the same level of quality or higher quality, but have more content that's turned out faster. Yeah. Because there's only so much he can do by himself, right? And so, like, if you really like this, and put your money where your mouth is, go give this guy, you know, $1, $2, even like $5, $10 if you really want to support him. Because, like, if he gets the support, if he can like make this his job, where his only duty is to hire some employees, hire some artists to help him out, then he can turn this stuff out way faster for us, which is what we want. Right?
Start a company, hire a project manager, and just be the lead art director. Take all that shit out of his fucking wheelhouse, you know?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then he can put out this content, like, and have his vision be upheld, you know?
Right.
If you guys want, then this is slightly off topic, but not. But if you guys want to feel, do you guys remember the first time you learned about Warhammer 40K? Like the very first time, and you were like, this is the coolest shit I've ever heard of, right? There is a video.
Where I was.
Yeah, that's awesome.
School cafeteria during after school, basically after school daycare, because I wasn't even in middle school yet. I was in like the 5th grade.
Nice. Yeah, there is a video on YouTube about, I think it's 3 British guys. They don't know about Warhammer.
How is that possible?
Yeah, exactly. They type in, like, if you type in Astartes reaction video, and it's them watching.
I straight watched it. I watched that video.
Astartes.
It's amazing.
And over the time, you see their confusion. Like, what is this about?
What the literal fuck am I watching? Yeah.
Yeah. What is this? Who are these guys? What is this stuff? And they're just asking a ton of questions. By the time they get to part 4, they are Warhammer 40K fans, and it is amazing to watch. It's like, it's you see them figure out Warhammer 40K in real time. It makes me just smile from ear to ear with joy. Watching these guys like come to our hobby.
I watched that video. They were like, first they were just like super naysay, and then like they were like jumping off the couch, like, what the fuck just happened?
It's so cool.
They wind up watching it twice too. The guy's like, play it again. It's really dope.
But let's move off of Astartes for a second. We got some more stuff to cover. You said you had some stuff to talk about for Space Marine Adventures.
Oh yeah. So I'm trying to throw some money to different businesses and stuff. So I wanted to order some stuff through Barnes and Noble. Everyone, of course, goes to Amazon. That's their go-to place. If you're gonna order books, though, order them through Barnes and Noble if you're in the U.S. because Amazon uses books as a loss leader, so they're not making money off of that. But Barnes and Noble, that's literally their lifeblood. But I ordered some books, and then I noticed on there that they had some expansions for this game called Space Marine Adventures that used to be a Barnes and Noble exclusive. You can get it at like big box stores now too. And just as a quick recap,
I think the expansions are different though. Like you can only get certain ones from them.
Yeah, from them.
Yeah.
And what it is, just as a quick recap, is they've taken the Space Marine Heroes line of miniatures and put them in this game. And the game is like called Labyrinth of the Necrons. It's a cooperative game. It is essentially kind of made for kids or for a veteran hobbyist to introduce somebody into the universe of Warhammer 40K. It is a gateway game. You know, I've played a couple games now and they're fun, but it's like, you definitely want a little bit more meat to it after the first couple of games. And I hadn't played it. I hadn't assembled my stuff. I hadn't done anything, even though I'd bought it about a year ago. I assembled the stuff and all the Marines come, cast in the plastic that their chapter color should be. So you can take this out of the box and it's literally in about 10 minutes, you could be on the tabletop playing. They are toolless. They're easy to build, snap fit Marines. And they're already cast in the plastic. And when I put them all together, I took a photo and put it on Facebook. I was just like, I wish after seeing them done like this, I was like, I wish that they cast regular Marine stuff in color. It doesn't have to be like their chapter, but instead of just being gray, right? What if you could, every Space Wolf box you buy comes cast in blue. You can, in that Space Wolf gray, right? So you can totally paint over it because it's the color of the plastic. Every regular Marine box you have, they always have Ultramarines on the cover anyway. So it comes in that dark blue Ultramarine color. Because these guys look good and they're literally bare plastic and they're just cast in the color they need to be. And it really excited me. I was just like, man, this is kind of a lost opportunity, but it's a really cheap game too. So if you're just looking for something, you can play it single player. That's honestly why I got it, was so I could play it single player. But it's a lot of fun. And then speaking of other games that we're going to do, we're straying from 40K a little bit. On April 19th, and some folks had asked about this, on April 19th, do we have a time yet?
Time isn't locked down. It'll probably be like late afternoon, early evening.
Nice.
So that people won't have to like worry about like conflicting with the work day or anything like that, right? So
it's also, also hard to get all four of us schedule wise. So Sunday we all agreed to that, but now we have to probably do like a soft run. Yeah. Make sure all the technology works, interact with our new Dungeon Master. Oh, did I spoil it? Our DM. Yeah.
So we're going to be playing Dungeons and Dragons, The Long War RPG. And we're going to, what's that?
So there's a twist though.
There is a twist. It is going to be using the Rick and Morty D&D rules.
Ooh, yes.
So we're all having
energy.
Yeah. We're all going to have I'm sorry why I cut you off.
So that's actually the name of the campaign.
Energy. Yeah. So we're just going to have all Rick and Morty themed characters. So it should be a lot of fun. It'll be funny anyway. Hopefully.
We're going to do our best for sure. And I've had a lot of a big conversation with Wyatt as we figured out some of these technologies, and we're all, trying to make sure we can do our best. Like I was like, make sure your DM over there, Mr. Will, understands how off the rails we are going to be trying to push this.
Oh yeah, it's going to be like he's not going to be ready.
Like, I'm going to have a meeting with him in the next couple of days to kind of go over some of that as well to get ready. I think we can we might be able to do like a session 0 where we just kind of get into a video call and talk about some stuff next week.
Sure.
Try out some of these different things. So
yeah, if we can we'll soft like not really stream it, just see if we can get technology to work, get this all figured out. We've already started rolling up characters. Rob is the only one who hasn't rolled a character.
Yeah, I'll have to help him learn how to internet because he's an old man.
Doesn't even know how PC desktop computer works.
Yeah, this is going to happen on the 19th, April 19th.
April. Sunday, prime time.
Someday.
Yes.
I may have to change my character now that I know that there's bird people in D&D. So,
yeah.
And cat people.
And cat people. Rather, Rob would have to be a squanchy character. Is there a way to make your dude like squanchy, like a cat person who hulks out occasionally?
Yeah, barbarians have rage.
Oh, a squanchy barbarian.
Yeah, they can go into a rage and attack recklessly, which is what you should always do as a barbarian if you go into a rage.
Yeah,
I feel like that's true.
I might change my character to someone who better supports alligator husbandry.
And I feel like that's a weekend hobby for a bird person.
Do you think that's something he does on the side?
Yeah,
it can be. Yeah,
I mean, he's pretty. When you think about it, he's pretty Joe Exotic. Like he's dating a teenager, even though he's like in his 50s.
Yeah, or 40-year-old bird.
Yeah,
yeah, that makes sense. Phoenix person.
Yep.
I went ahead and excited.
made 2 because my first one I don't think is going to be around for a long time.
Are you not going to go with Mr. Meeseeks?
Okay, so he's called the Seeker, right? Okay. Right. And this is my tease for the character. He's called the Seeker, and it happened to him when Jerry was in Rick's garage. And he couldn't find the Meeseeks box, so he's the off-brand Kirkland Meeseeks.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yes.
And Jerry asked him to fix his marriage, so it's literally impossible. So he is immortal. He has been around for forever to him. It's really been only about 2 weeks.
Yes.
Existence is pain.
And he hates everything.
And he's a warlock, so
he is a warlock.
Jerry, his eldritch, his
patron or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the name of yours? Gazorbazorp? Wyatt?
Yeah. So I'm doing a Goliath cleric, who is for the intents of this game, he's a Gazorpazorp, and I'm a death plane, death divine. I forget the thing, but clerics can like pray to a certain like divinity. So I'm a death divinity cleric, and purely for the cantrip that they come with called Ray of Sickness, so that I can make people diarrhea their pants at will.
This is fine.
I feel like I have to step my game up. I'm going to take a second shot at it. I need to get more thematic with mine, because my theme was more like Florida Man, but like I need to get more into this Rick and Morty situation.
I mean, you can be who's the clock people, the gear people?
Revolio Clockworth.
Yeah, you can be like Revolio Clockworth if you are a
talk about
the race from Eberron.
Gear people.
Drawing a blank. Do you remember, Mike? It's the Warforged, right?
Yeah, Warforged. Yeah,
they're basically like a clockwork golem,
automaton golem things.
So you can be that guy. You can be Revolio Clocksworth.
Oh, thank you for that. And of course, I don't even think like we have to really talk much about Rob's. Rob's definitely going to pick cat person.
Yeah, you don't know me.
Luckily, there's a cat-like character in Rick and Morty, so it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I feel like that would be fun.
It's going to be hype. It's
I squanch my family, and we can. What's wrong with you?
Oh my god, I can be Scary Terry. That's great.
Yeah, my secondary character, I'll drop just a hint. I don't plan on using him, but in case, he just likes killing.
Oh Lord,
Crumbopulous Michael.
Crumbopulous Michael.
Oh man. God, here I go killing again.
Here I go killing again.
It's gonna be so hype.
So you want to talk some conspiracy theories?
Oh, let's do it. Let's roll into it. This is Rob's GW Tinfoil Hat section.
5G is causing coronavirus.
So I'm sure everybody by now saw the previews for last week from the GW, Dalmani Fuse, War of the Spider, and all that stuff. I do want to talk first. The Bandai Space Marine hit the ports. I don't know. What we assume is that, judging from the port manifest. So be looking for those.
Here's a question. What happens if you had your Bandai Space Marine store pickup?
I'm not really sure, because they're just hitting. If it is that, which it seems like the numbers check out for it to be that, because it's like there was, I don't know. I broke it all down in an article. I don't want to spitball it, but the numbers look right. So they'll just go to the GW warehouse and they'll just kind of sit there until everybody comes back to work. And then I assume if everybody's coming back to the main GW warehouse, then the stores are probably open, I would imagine. So it should be okay to get once everything gets started back up again. So those are probably just chilling. I'm sure there's somebody at GW like answering the door when the deliveries show up still, I would imagine, but let's hope. Otherwise, those are sitting on a dock somewhere in a Connex box. So just keep that in mind.
I'm envisioning the end of the A-Team right now, only with like boxes of Bandai Space Marines.
Not exactly sure, what's going to happen, because stuff's still coming into the ports all the time. So like, it's got to be somebody's working somewhere, I suppose. I'm not a logisticologist, but that would be my assumption there.
A pandemic logistics expert.
Yeah. I figured like these guys might be essential personnel. So, I mean, when you have a warehouse that's 1 million square feet, like you just don't turn it off. Like somebody's got to go and check on it. Like make sure the water's like the thermostat's on or whatever, I don't know. But seems like these are all real things, real terms. I'm sure chat will tell us.
Is their warehouse literally 1 million square feet?
I don't know. They just expanded it, so it might be by now. Who knows?
I feel like we can go get a bunch of Bandai Space Marines with some help from some old friends.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
All right. So tinfoil hat time. We know the factions that are coming in War of Spider, rules-wise. So they said, Custodes. They said Chaos again, which was interesting because that's the second time they used that symbol. So I guess you can use the symbols twice.
It's the I don't know. It's like Fabulous Bill and the Goon Squad.
Yeah, the Agents of Bile.
Yeah,
that was in the, I think it's a teaser or short story. I don't know. They came up with it there. Death Guard, and then they invented a new symbol, which is the assassin symbol, which isn't on their chart of things that were getting new rules, but apparently now they are. So we have left the building. That chart from October may not matter because we've seen something get rules twice, symbol used twice, and now a symbol has been added. So there's 25 factions.
So we were operating under the assumption that no symbol can be repeated and nothing, right. Period. Like that was the only thing we're like, that's the rules. The rules of this Psychic Awakening is everyone gets one. Now we know that to not be true, and some people get one that we didn't expect to get one.
Right.
All right. Just to clarify for a dum-dum.
And not only that, but now it looks like some of the rules for Psychic Awakening are going to be in a White Dwarf supplement, which they teased on Saturday. So the Harlequins and the Death Watch apparently are getting their Psychic Awakening rules in a White Dwarf very soon, air quotes, which I don't think it's next White Dwarf because they teased that and it didn't seem to say anything about 40K.
So it's not a Psychic Awakening, or it is?
Apparently their Psychic Awakening new rules updates will be in a White Dwarf instead of
in a different book.
Of in a different book. Which, if remember, they were dropping all these new 40K rules, and then all of a sudden Psychic in White Dwarf, and then all of a sudden Psychic Awakening came out. There was no more 40K rules in the White Dwarf for like 6 months, and now we're transitioning back to that. So there might be a gap. What I'm thinking, air quotes, tinfoil hat time, is that there was going to be a planned month where there wasn't going to be a Psychic Awakening drop, and that was going to be the White Dwarf drop. But now everything's, mashed together and pushed back. So it's really hard to kind of gauge that.
So this White Dwarf drop was always going to happen, is what you think?
I think that was always going to happen. And that was just going to be the way it is. So if that is the case, and they also said that Necrons and Sisters were getting rules in Pariah, so that actually accounts for one each of that chart of 25 now faction symbols that they said we're all going to get rules updates. Mm-hmm. So in theory, that White Dwarf update and that Pariah book will complete the cycle, so to speak, probably sometime in the summer for these supplements. Mm-hmm. So from there, who knows?
Yeah. What about the Death Guard?
The Death Guard and War of the Spider.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
Yep. There's 4 factions getting rules in War of the Spider, 4 factions in Engine War, and then 2 and 2 for the White Dwarf update.
The Great Gear
Pariah.
Wars.
What do you guys think about the rules coming out in a White Dwarf instead of a hardcover book? I've seen a lot of people online talk about how they're getting shafted and shortchanged. But so here's my way of thinking about it, right? Is if you really go back and you look at the amount of pages that they get per faction in these books, right? Like really the meat and potatoes of your rules.
It's not a lot.
You're paying $35-$40 for a hardcover book for what amounts to 2 to 3 pages.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And even less if you're not like putting all that flavor stuff in there. So the way I look at it is like if my faction is getting in a White Dwarf, I'm getting my 2 to 3 pages for like, what do they run these days? Like $10?
$9,
$10, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's an absolute win.
I mean, you're missing out on the lore, but if you're not interested in the story, the ongoing story that's breaking out in there.
Yeah, spoilers. I literally have not read any lore for Second Awakening. I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely not be complaining if they had put that Grey Knight supplement that we got in a White Dwarf. I wouldn't be complaining at all.
Yeah. And if I need to know anything about Second Awakening, I just let Rob tell me.
Fair enough. So I agree with Wyatt. I think it's tremendous value. Remember, Harlequins don't have a lot of units and don't have a lot of rules if you think about it.
Yeah.
And the same with Deathwatch, although the Deathwatch did get that update where they were allowed to take the Executioner tank. I don't think they were given the full Vanguard Space Marine treatment yet. I'll have to check that FAQ. So in theory, they could port that over very easily. They could update some Harlequin stuff. And if you really want, and I haven't done this yet, but my gut is telling me to go back and look at that. What was that box where it was Harlequins versus Deathwatch? Or Eldar versus Deathwatch.
Death
it was
Mask.
like
Overkill or okay.
One of the Overkill
Death
was
Mask, one of the best deals too. It was so sick.
Yeah, that was a good one. So Death Mask had actual rules in it as well in their little supplement. So
it was Mask spelled like Harlequin shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before it transitioned over to 8th edition. So chances are they might be grabbing some of that stuff and sprinkling it in as far as names. But remember, they can just grab a lot of the Stardy stuff for the Deathwatch side. Harlequins, though, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I've had this conspiracy theory for a while, if we're on tinfoil hat time. So I think Deathwatch and Harlequins getting relegated to White Dwarf, if you want to look at it that way, kind of speaks to what I think Games Workshop views those factions as, which are supplemental forces to the larger factions. Yes, you can play them standalone, and they have rules for that, and you can do it. But I think the way that Games Workshop views factions like Custodes, Deathwatch, Imperial Knights, and factions like the Harlequins is those are tailor-made to be a supplement to one of the big factions. Like, yeah, you can bring a squad or two, a detachment of Deathwatch with your Imperial Guard, and they're going to get stuff done. If you have Craftworld Ulthway, you can take a little detachment of some Harlequins to get some stuff done, or like some characters or something to spice things up. And while you can run them as a standalone faction, I don't think they were ever designed or viewed in the same way as the standalone factions like Codex Space Marines or Codex Space Marines or Craft World Eldar.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, even in a Death Watch, they never field an army of Death Watch. It's a kill team. It's smaller groups. You're absolutely right. And I was trying to come up with a negative for having them in the White Dwarf for just for arguing purposes, right? And I did come up with one. Okay. This is my negative, and it's actually totally on me, but it is a negative. I'm not likely to lose a Psychic Awakening book, but I'm totally going to lose that White Dwarf. Do you remember those assassin rules that were dope?
Yeah.
I have no idea where the hell those are. I played Blood Ravens. They had rules in a White Dwarf. I don't know where those are. They're somewhere in the house. I have that White Dwarf still. I didn't toss it, but I don't know where it is. I can tell you where all my codices are.
Yeah.
So that's the negative.
I can see that as a valid point. And I mean, people may disagree with me, but we're tinfoil hatting right now.
Yeah. That's a negative that's on me, right? That's me going, I don't value the White Dwarf as much as I value a hardcover.
So I'm going to go with you on that, Haspil, since this is a tinfoil hat segment. Now I believe 100% that having heard all this, the real reason GW is putting them in the magazine form is because you will lose it and have to buy another one. And then later down the line, you'll have to buy the digital version so they can get you twice.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can always revisit this discussion once that White Dwarf comes out and it's like, ooh, well, maybe if Death Watch and Harlequins get absolutely, bent over a barrel where they get like a couple of little blurbs of rules and they actually don't get the same amount as everybody else, we can revisit that as like, that's kind of shitty of them. But if we're speculating right now, to me, that actually does look pretty good. Where if I only need 3 pages out of a $40 hardback rulebook, I would much rather buy them in a White Dwarf for $10 or less than, the Vigil.
You know how much easier my life gets? You know how many flipping through pages I have to do to find the fucking shit I care about anyway?
Yeah. Yep. And even with
I'm just gonna rip that page out of the White Dwarf and throw the rest in the garbage. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Like the stuff that I had to use for my Ultramarines from Vigilus, like it was literally like a handful of stratagems and some list building rules and nothing else. But I had to have that whole fucking book on me at a tournament.
I think this is all going to harken back to kind of some stuff I was alluding to earlier, where we're going to see more and more people getting models but wanting to use 40K rules. So at the end of the day, GW's actual value is the lore and the system itself, not necessarily the models. So they're going to be protecting and valuing that a lot more going forward over the years.
That's smart. I mean, it's a smart move. That's what I would tell them to do. Is like, this is an unstoppable force.
That's the IP. Yeah, that's the IP. That
is what makes them
lore. And the rules.
Yeah, it's an unstoppable force. This 3D printing revolution. Something's going to happen. So you need to double down on your IP. You need to just be the IP house that you are.
Yeah,
especially because things are about to. I think things were about to explode for GW this year, but with this whole COVID thing, I think it's going to be pushed back to next year.
I mean, they're still on track to have their best year.
That's not what I mean.
It's like entertainment industry.
I mean people who've never heard of Space Marines are all of a sudden going to get shows about Space Marines. Yeah,
you have to assume, tinfoil hat section, you have to assume that a lot of what has been motivated with their releases and content and model pushes was a 1-2 punch promo, 1-2 punch marketing plan.
Oh, sure.
There's millions of dollars in this, and they're going to Eisenhorn and all these other things. Like they want to be locked and loaded, ready to go, so that the new market can be assimilated, so that they can actually mobilize this new fan base they generate through film into it. And that all like you said, like this COVID-19 thing is completely derailed the entertainment industry. It's 100%. Like you said, it's earlier. I think when we were talking, you were like, get ready. People aren't going to be willing to take chances after, like, for a little while after this.
Not at all.
They got to recover.
Not at all.
But there's a lot of stuff in Hollywood that's shut. Like a lot of shows and stuff are shut down right now. Like I think the somebody told me the other day that like they were in production for the second season of The Witcher, and that got shut down before they could finish production.
Yep.
So who knows what's going on with Eisenhorn?
I feel real bad for Henry Cavill there because
he's a
fool.
Yeah, he's gonna have to stay jacked as fuck.
He's gonna have to stay jacked for a long time.
Like,
but the most beautiful man alive, such a burden.
But yeah, I mean, just imagine if Eisenhorn comes out and is as successful as, like, say, Altered Carbon, right?
Or like, so I was gonna say like, or The Witcher, but I mean, like, The Witcher is I think a little bit better of a thing because it has a preloaded fan base, but it's not like super forward in the zeitgeist. Right. Like you could probably ask 10 people, hey, do you know about the Witcher video games? And like probably a majority of them would say no, but still did very well on Netflix, enough to get a second and third season greenlit. So that's all.
And when it came out on Netflix, then we saw it on Steam. More people played the Witcher games than had ever played them before.
Right.
So if Eisenhorn comes out and people are like, hey, what is this? Oh, this is a really cool show. What do you mean there are games based in this universe? And they start digging into it. It's going to be unbelievable. Like the amount of growth that we could see in this hobby will be incredible. And we need to all be prepared to be ambassadors to that instead of gatekeepers.
I mean, that's actually one of the things I think I talked to Kenny about this the other day. Like, I'm actually a little bit excited for when all this stuff starts happening to get like a new influx of fans into our community. Because I kind of want a lot of the toxic people and gatekeeper people to leave.
Yep.
And if
or at least to loot it. Like if you got a shit bucket, they throw you put enough water in it, it doesn't seem shitty.
I mean, that's one of the easiest places of growth, and I think GW realizes this is lady hobbyists for sure. But there's some issues there too, because there's always that engagement factor between lady hobbyists and dude hobbyists where there's some social awkwardness. But that being said, that's probably still the easiest way to grow the numbers when you're looking at an industry or a hobby or a business that only has 2 to 8% ladies. Like there's plenty of room for growth on the lady side of thing right there, but also
conspiracy theory, to get the ladies, you need to get, and obviously not every dude. I think 40K happens in all the nerd shit we do. I think 40K has some of like the least weirdos in it. Like, and
for it being like a social interaction type hobby.
And so, but if you could really double down on like that. And so basically I'm going on like what am I thinking of? Like, what's the South Park movie from back in the day? Basketball.
First,
we got to get the money so we can get the khakis, then we can get the girls.
Yes.
Like, so that we got to go back to basketball. Rewatch basketball. That's GW's marketing plan in this show. Tinfoil.
Yep. But yeah, I think going forward it's going to be great, and we got a lot of different angles here. I'm just going to throw one more thing out. If you read that story Monday for the Psychic Awakening, War of the Spider kind of interlude, they talked about this chapter of Space Marines, and they didn't say if they were Primaris, and they didn't identify them. It was just a chapter master and some captains, and they were fighting somewhere. And I think against some renegade chaos, and one of their battle brothers psychically awoke and like burninated a Ogren that was about to kill him. So then they have this thing where apparently the High Lords are like, yo, we can't have no witches, so you know what to do. And they have this whole thing where they basically kill their battle brother because he's a witch. And I don't know why they don't run them through the Librarius or whatever. Whatever. I don't know how it all works, but apparently they have to do this a lot in this area they're fighting, and it's starting to weigh on the chapter. And at the end, he's just like, nah, we're not doing this anymore. I'm tired of this shit. And they go renegade. So I'm wondering if that sets the scene for the Agents of Bile, because if you're looking for a cure to some ailment for your chapter, I hear there's this guy he might be able to help you.
Oh,
he's probably going to want something in return.
He's got the goods.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about what Fabulous Bill wants as a payment.
Think about this.
Sacks.
So these dudes,
sacks.
So like your chief apothecary rolls up. He's like in this super sketch crack house, right? It's crack. He's like, yo, you got the stuff? He's like, wait your turn.
Any death sticks?
He's one of his guys. Like he's with a client right now. Hold on. And then the door opens. Out comes Joe Exotic with bags of meth.
Yep.
Tigers and shit. And you're like, oh, too real. And then you go back and you just solve your own problems. So it's GW Watch, Basketball, and Tiger King.
Yep, absolutely. That's where we're at. So I'm glad we prefaced this with these are rumors and this is Tinfoil Hat section because.
Oh, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with making my new headcanon that Fabulous Bill is in fact the Joe Exotic of the 40K universe. Instead of human skin, he just has like the sewn together pelts of exotic tigers.
And like 37 alligator corpses.
Yes.
From that totally not arsoned explosion on his trailer.
Yeah, it was 100% not insurance fraud.
Nah. They have a term for that up north. They can't talk about it, though.
He was out of state when that happened. He wasn't even there.
Yeah.
He was on a business trip.
I mean, the dude is a genius. Clearly having a business out. No, he went to a funeral, I think.
Yeah, something.
like,
how convenient.
Yeah. Goddamn genius. Oh my God, that was a ridiculous segment.
That's all my words.
That's all we had to talk
time
about.
for Haspil.
Oh, ship's computer.
Oh.
Hello, computer.
Snakes in my beautiful city. To the west, Numidia, Aquilonia. To the south, Koth and Stygia. Snakes everywhere, these accursed towers. You alone have stood up to their god. And what are you? Thieves.